Thank y'all for tuning in. You're now tuning in my podcast, Difficult People Chronicles. I'm seriously focused, Johnny SF Johnny, back at you with another message. Today's episode is called The Message Pray for the Males. Males in this life, just like us, women, are faced with challenges. Some of y'all have brothers, fathers, grandfathers, uncles, sons, did I forget? Cousins, and nephews. They face a number of situations in this life: hate, racism, jealousy, sometimes from other men or women or people in the family, the Jezebel spirit, fighting in spiritual warfare, other men who are in hiding about their sexuality and lure men to SA them, falsely accused. And when I say, let me go back, when I say SA them, you know, what I'm seeing nowadays, and I'll go more into that. I might do that on the live because I gotta go back to my notes on what came to me. But you have men that have been violated and they have been held down by the group. You have men that are falsely accused, you have drugged, and it could be kids too, or accused for whatever, which ends up in jail or captivity, tormented. You got some with health issues that are battling and they think that is just a part of life and not realizing that it's spiritual warfare. You got some that are not cared for. You got seniors who are abused and cheated out of their assets or money. You got some that are abused by family, friends, or the system. You got those that are lied to, which derails them from their godly wife or their assignment. I said bondage already, so that's jail or captivity. You got some that are bewitched. And what it looks like is a person or a child can do things and not be in a right frame of mind. And people, the world, if a person is worldly and not looking at a situation out of spiritual eyes, sometimes, and this is certain situations where you can see that this person is in a trance. Sometimes it's the enemy bewitching them. You can have those that went through near death experiences and they have this fear inside of them, which makes them act aggressively in certain situations where they don't want to go back to, they afraid of going back to that situation. They become like hostile. You got some that are depressed. You got those that are stalked, and you got those that are homeless. And homeless could come with a number of issues because what came to me the other day when I was watching something on TV about this homeless guy, and I know someone that I grew up with that was homeless, and he ended up having mental health issues. The thing about it is that a lot of times when a person is not taking care of themselves or they can't and they're not getting the proper nutrients, it affects the brain. And that's what came to me. And even a person protecting someone they love nowadays can cost them their life. So, just like us women, going through a lot, men go through a lot. And then you also have one more, men that are, they want to be head of the household, but there's a lot of barriers that prevent them from, I would say, handling their responsibilities financially. Like they try to go for a better job or a better position or make more money, and then they constantly are met with blockage or setbacks. Yeah. So I want to talk about the three cases that I reviewed. One of them I reviewed a long time ago, and it was the case of Gabrielle Fernandez. And that, if you have the time, look it up on Netflix. What I can recall is his mother was abusive, and I think it was her boyfriend or stepfather, whoever. But there was another person too who was abusive. I think it was the mother's boyfriend. And the teachers and a lot of people, social workers, everybody reported this situation to have the child removed from the home, but the child was never removed from the home. They would tie him up or chain him to the cabinet or lock him inside the cabinet. I think they locked him inside the cabinet and he would urinate. It was horrible. It was horrible. I know that what I could recall seeing is a picture of him where he had bruises on him and I think a band-aid or something. And it was a school photo. And you could clearly see he was abused. And he died from abuse. Like th- he was basically murdered. And it was crazy. The everything about his case was so much that it came out in the end, and it was just basically like the system failed him, like many other kids out there in the world. The next one was the case. It was a killing of a 3-year-old boy, and basically it was the father of the child, his girlfriend, who strangled the child. The child's name was Travis Young, and she stuffed baby wipes in his throat. It was insane. So these kids don't even have a chance to live. Another one is the case where a Palestinian American woman and her son was targeted and attacked, and then her son was murdered because of their Muslim faith. And it's like, at the end of the day, a person can agree and disagree about whatever. But when it takes a whole nother turn where a person decides to stab a person to death, murder, whatever means they use to murder, that's crazy. That is crazy. And some people have this demonic spirit, evil spirit inside of them that is so deep embedded that the littlest thing that a person does, believe in, say, or do triggers that spirit to kill. These male children did not have a chance to live life. And that's why it's imperative that we pray for the males. Believe it or not, a lot of men feel that in order to support them, and I'm talking about grown men, they feel that in order to support them, meaning the support needs to be within their presence, meaning it could, like, they feel like in order to support me, you have to be at my graduation, or you have to be at my birthday party, or you have to be at my game, and things like that. But they don't realize that they can be at work, they could be overseas, they could be in the midst of craziness, and you praying for them can reach them. Prayers can reach them in the dark valley and the shadow of death. I always say that. God will show himself or be in their presence, and they will fear no evil. Sometimes you have to look at people's heart. Prayers can give a person clear thoughts. It can make them say the right things at the right time. It can make a person spring into action when there is an emergency and come out safe. Prayer can confuse their enemy. Prayer allows God to work on their behalf. We need to pray for the male, babies, toddlers, grown men, young adults, teenagers, seniors, because they need to live, and their innocence needs to be protected from murderers, abusers, pedophiles, and the devil and some of their families, whoever that applies to. Even if their parents are not in their right frame of mind, God will make a way that through it all, they're safe. In other words, your prayer can save someone's life. Mhm. So, let me get my Bible. In 1 Samuel chapter 25, it talks about this man that was from Moan. He was a rich man, and his name was Nabal. He was the husband of Abigail, and he was rude. He was rude, disrespectful, nasty. His wife, though, was kind, sweet, and beautiful. Nabal, I say he was rude, right? He had a evil spirit. So David sent 10 young men to go up to Nabal and ask him for supplies, bread, water, meat, wine, whatever he had, right? And when they got in front of Nabal, basically he was like, I go out hunting and I get all these, supplies and kill whatever for food to give it to who? Being disrespectful. Give it to who? For what? So basically, it was like one of those situations. And word got back to his wife, Abigail, that, he was rude and nasty, and how, David was planning on killing him because of his rudeness. She went ahead, unbeknownst to her husband, and went to David and begged him not to kill her husband. She also bought supplies, and she bowed down, begging for his forgiveness, interceding on behalf of him, begging for his forgiveness, and basically, don't kill my husband. Yeah, he's rude and disrespectful. Please forgive him and all this other stuff, right? Because of her plea and prayer and everything, David granted her request. But then her husband ended up dying later on anyway, from having an evil heart and stuff like that. And I use that as an example because basically that tells how a female can intercept on behalf of a male. You know, a lot of times people in this world don't realize who's praying for them. I always say that. A lot of times people say things like, oh, they went through it and all that other stuff, and it was the act of God that was protecting me and my angels and all this other stuff. Yeah, that's true. But also, a lot of times people don't know who's praying for them. I always say this to my moms, which is interesting. I say that a lot of times there's people, even in my family, that have gone through some things, and what they don't realize is that a lot of times she was up praying like around the clock. So while people thought that she was in the midst of the family drama, no, we were, she and I, behind the scenes praying. People don't realize that. But the thing I always say to her is that when God puts us on an assignment to do some things, like say for instance, he says he wants that person that you've been praying for to come to him, and that person chooses not to, or they choose to do other things instead of praying, not taking God as a priority. What do you think is going to happen? I always say that because God is not sleeping. But that's just something I wanted to share with y'all. Anyway, I want y'all to go down in prayer, and whatever males come to mind, kids, babies, newborns, even those that you know are in the womb, Say if you are single and you're waiting on your kingdom husband, go to God in prayer because you don't know what's going on the other side. You don't know what's going on until you hear about it. You don't know what's going on until God tells you about it. Sometimes you don't know what's going on until you hear about it on the news. God forbid. Go to God in prayer. Pray for their behalf. So that's it for today. And let me see. I'm gonna just give y'all a date. I would say I'm gonna try to go live May 10th. I'm gonna try to go live on YouTube, but I'll give you a definite, and I'm gonna give you a definite by next week. But save that date, May 10th, and it's gonna be something in the evening. So that's it for today. Sign up for a session. Go to my website. Email me for suggested topics, and check out my store. Check me out on YouTube. Like, subscribe, click the notification. Love me more, and I love you more. Later.